You're listening to This Is My Side Hustle. The tips, tools, and advice you need to optimize your life live here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to additional income by engineering your choices around your ideal lifestyle, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join us as we unpack unconventional ideas and methods to give you more freedom and flexibility. Let's escape the rat race together and live with intention. Let's learn how others are making it pay with their side hustles. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of This Is My Side Hustle. Today, we are going to be discussing how to furnish your home for free. Now, that might seem unrealistic or a little outlandish or gimmicky, but I can assure you it's not. And I want to go over how we actually did this for ourselves over the course of 6 years, back from 2009 through 2015. Yes, I had to do the math real fast in my head. So let's just get started with this. The reason I say that you can furnish your house for free is because if you source your furnishings and home upgrades and even things like curtains and artwork on places like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and LetGo and eBay and all of the places I mentioned in episode 3, you really can furnish your home for free if you take into consideration that you're going to change those out within several years, which most people do. You don't necessarily have to if you go with higher quality things and you're totally okay with being not so trendy, which I think is a hashtag not so trendy. I should create that hashtag. But anyway, I want to go over how our family actually pulled this off. And not only did we pull it off, we profited over a 6-year period of furnishing our home for free. So I want to get back to, let's say you need to move into a home, or you bought a new home, or you're renting a home or whatever, and you've got to put some furniture in your rooms. You could live with no furniture, and there actually is a movement going on with minimalists right now who are putting as little furniture as possible, meaning that they don't even have chairs to sit on or couches to sit on, and they sit on the floor, Indian style. I kind of admire that in a way. There's something to be said for really paring your life down and just enjoying using your body as its own chair and not spending money on furniture. But if you want to live in the real world, I do want to give you some tips on how we did this on our own, and explain maybe some special circumstances that we have. So it might not be realistic for 100% of the people, but it's definitely doable, I would say, for at least 50% of the population. So let me go back to the beginning. 2009, I should probably backtrack and give you some backstory. So yeah, let me do that because I think this would be beneficial. I wasn't going to do that, but I'm just going to do it now because, whatever. So in 2007, late fall, I believe, when our first daughter was around 13 months old, we had been renting a tiny little house. I mean, it wasn't a tiny house, but it kind of was tiny. It was like 500 square feet or maybe 800 square feet. My husband's brother owned a landscaping company, and he purchased a home with a huge garage in the back And he was single at the time. So his purpose was, okay, I just need to live. I'm a bachelor. I don't need much, but I need a big garage to store all of my equipment and work on it. And I kind of love that. That he was thinking ways to be financially independent, or at least frugal, way back in the day before a lot of people were. And he was totally fine with that. He wasn't whooping it up trying to get the best condo with all his friends who were probably doing who knows what at the time. And he focused on his business. And so he had a little home. But right around the time when I became pregnant with my oldest daughter, he got married to a wonderful woman who's now my sister-in-law, and they moved into her home. And my husband and I decided to move into his house and rent it from him. So we did some upgrades because I'm kind of a weirdo, and I was like, oh, we should just paint this and we should redo this and whatever and move ourselves in. And so we repainted the outside of his house, which I think actually probably brought up the price of his home quite a lot. Well, maybe not quite a lot, but at least enough to make our time worth it. And he was barely charging us any rent. It was ridiculous. I don't even remember how cheap it was at the time, but it was covering his mortgage, which is what mattered. And we were just getting started. And, you know, when you just get married and you're just starting a family, you tend to really not care about that. I'd love to kind of extend that feeling of just having fun and being happy and not caring about things like status of your home or what you're wearing or the car you're driving a little longer. I really wish people would be able to just capture that a little more. I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of that now. Just enjoying our family, enjoying our friends, and not worrying so much about keeping up with other people. And I think that can be extremely advantageous if you can capture that and ride that like crazy. But anyway, we rented off of him for a while, and then we thought, well, to be honest, we got probably sucked into we should buy our own house. And we were planning on expanding our family and considering where our children would then go to school in the future. So we decided to start looking for a home to buy. Okay, so fast forward a couple of months, we found a home to buy. We purchased it in 2007, and then we ended up selling it in the spring of 2009. Now, if you're at all familiar with what happened to the entire financial world in fall of 2008, we really didn't know what we were going to get for the house when we moved in. Or I'm sorry, when we put it up for market. When we moved in, we paid fair market value. When we moved out, all of the homes in our area had dropped about 10 to 15%. And in certain areas, they were like 50% down because of the housing bubble had burst. The stock market had crashed. And we decided we wanted to take advantage of an opportunity, and this opportunity looked fantastic, especially considering everything that was going on in the financial world around us. But we ended up selling our home and making about $12,000 even after capital gains tax because of just a few improvements we had put in. My husband had redone the floors. We repainted some of the rooms. That's really pretty much all we did. So we were very blessed to come out of that situation just fine. But we had this fantastic opportunity to move into an old farmhouse that my husband's employer owned on close to 100 acres. It might have been a little more or a little less, but let's just say 100 because, 80, 100, 120, I'm not sure. It was a lot of land. It was an old farm, and they had an old farmhouse on it, and we knew the people who lived there previously, and they had lived there for quite a while and raised their children there. And we moved into this home in 2009, and we stayed there until 2015. So we were there for 6 years, and decided at the time, because I only worked during that entire 6 years for maybe 6 months total. We had a toddler, we had a newborn, and that working at that point was just not on my radar. And we got such a fantastic opportunity with this. It was extremely inexpensive, and we just decided, okay, let's move in, and now we've got to furnish this home. We used a lot of what we had from the previous home to do so, but anyone who's ever moved knows that you still have to pick up furniture and different curtains, or you decide to go with a different decor, and then there's always things that need to be done anyway. So that's kind of what we did. But we went to all of the resources you'll find in episode 3 on sources for where to source cheap things and used things. And we furnished that entire house, completely redid the kitchen by going through the Kraftmaid Outlet, which I will link to in the show notes. So take a look at makingitpaytostay.com/8 for the show notes for this episode. We went to a Kraftmaid Outlet, redid our kitchen for less than $1,500, completely furnished our house, redid everything, painted several times, added in carpet, and I figured out over the course of 6 years, we still came out a couple of $100 ahead of when we went in. And the way we did this is by sourcing everything we could possibly buy as cheap as possible. Most of the time it was used. Sometimes it needed fixed up or repainted, or in the instance of curtains and artwork and things like that, we would get it when we had a coupon or a really good deal online. And even with the paint, even with the carpet, even with the new kitchen, we still came out several $100s above 6 years later. So we actually increased our investment of living somewhere over the course of 6 years by several $100s. And I'm not including rent in this, and I don't want to give a specific number. Let me just tell you that it's the cheapest rent you could possibly imagine. But we were in a very special situation here with my husband being employed by fantastic employers, and we knew the family and we knew the people who lived there before, and we were in a very, very special situation. But I still want to pass on some of the ideas that you could take away with this, to do this for yourself and at least minimize your costs as much as possible, and possibly furnish your entire home for free. Because if we did it, it's definitely possible. And to be honest with you, we still spent money on pretty much everything. There were a few things that we got for free on the Craigslist free section, and then I would use leftover paint to spruce them up or whatever. But most of what we used to furnish our house was paid for. We just did it with thinking about how we could get the best deal possible and negotiate things down, use them for a while, and then when I would maybe decide to change the decor because I was sick of it, or I wanted to change up the look, or just found something else I liked better, we would end up selling complete rooms of furniture for a profit. There were several things that we spent more money on than others. And yes, there were things that were free. And yes, there were things that I made. I learned how to sew during that time, which somehow has gotten lost in my brain. I do have a sewing machine. I was kind of into sewing for a while because I would get sheets, or I actually used pajama pants and sewed those into Christmas curtains for my bathroom. And I learned to sew at least at a somewhat basic level. That saved us a decent amount of money because we could use leftover sheets and things like that that we had laying around. And I would hem them and cut them to size and hang them on our curtain rods. And to be honest, I look at old Facebook pictures that we had from that home, and it was beautiful. It was definitely not it. I mean, I don't think anybody really would have known had I not told them. However, I'm the type of person, when I get a deal, I want to tell everybody, yeah, I got this free. Or, oh my gosh, I only spent $5 on this entire dining room set, or whatever. Had it not been for me probably telling everybody, you never would have known. But we did end up coming out ahead by using the principles I talk about in episode 3 and sourcing things and then just sprucing them up a little bit, maybe updating them with some new hardware or some paint. Or, I mean, anytime you buy something used and then improve it just a little bit, or buy something used that somebody just doesn't want anymore and they're changing their decor and it happens to fit yours, get it used. There's really no need not to. Now, there's a couple things I would suggest not buying used. Number one is a mattress. In fact, I recently hooked up with somebody on a Facebook group who was telling me about a side hustle they have, picking up mattresses that people decide to send back to the factory. So if you go to buy a mattress online, thankfully now they're fairly reasonable. You can go online. There's a ton of great mattress companies out there now, and each and every one of them are trying to outdo the other as far as price and quality. But most of them give a 90-day warranty. So what happens is people will sleep on them for 90 days, and then there's unfortunately people out there trying to scam the system who will buy something for 90 days or let's say 85 days and then decide to return it and then do the same over and over and over again. Fortunately, the people who I know running this side hustle of picking up used mattresses and returning them to the company do kind of flag these people and know, okay, there's something going on here. There's not currently a way to prevent this. And unfortunately, you're going to have people who don't do things the way you're supposed to do them. And they're obviously trying to pull one over on people. And as a small business owner, even though I don't sell physical products except for used things on Etsy, I would hate to know that someone's doing that to me, buying something, cashing in on a guarantee or a return or any kind of, promise that I back them. If they're not satisfied, they can let me know. And then they just keep doing it to everybody else ad nauseum. That disappoints me greatly. But the fact of the matter is, though, because of people like this, there are opportunities for people to have side hustles picking up mattresses. So this lady went on to tell me that her and her husband make over $1,000 a month by spending about 2 to 3 Saturdays going around our local area. So she's kind of local to me, and picking up used mattresses. And I guess they have a way to ship them back to the factory. And so they have to pay for shipping costs. But even after costs, they end up making money on this. So it sounds to me like, unfortunately, the mattress companies still probably have to charge a lot more than needed in order to compensate for people trying to get one over on them. But there's another opportunity for a side hustle. So anywhere you look, you can find out ways to make money and save money. If you want to furnish your home a certain way for a couple years and then you have bought your stuff on Craigslist, you can probably sell it back on Craigslist for the same, possibly more, maybe a little less than you did before, as long as you buy fairly traditional styled furniture. So that's how we went about it for 6 years. We also did at that time sometimes purchase couches and things like that. Our kids were little, they were toddlers, they were spilling chocolate milk and getting disgusting food and slime and who knows what on everything. So most of our upholstered furniture at that time was used, but you have to be really careful when you buy used upholstered furniture of any kind because of bed bugs, just because of nasty germs embedded in the fabric and in the cushions and all of that. And we made it work back then. We would sometimes rent upholstery cleaners and, deep vacuum it and then run the upholstery cleaner on it and then set it out in the sun to get disinfected for 2 days and then run that upholstery fabric cleaner on it again and then run the vacuum on it again. And honestly, when I look back, the time we invested wasn't ideal. And now we're in a position where I probably wouldn't do that again. I probably would not buy upholstered furniture such as a sofa again that's used unless it maybe was leather or I knew the person I was buying it off of. I just wouldn't recommend that most of the time. But if you're buying dining room furniture and it's wooden, or a wooden bedroom set, or furniture for your basement or your office, definitely do that. There's no reason not to. We just redid my office and it was a couple $100 to completely redo it. It was an old workshop off of our garage. So it was cinder block walls, no ceiling built in. There was lighting, electricity, and heat to it though. So the duct work is showing and the overhead beams are showing. But I decided, well, I can still make this look pretty cool. I mean, how many restaurants and venues do you go to that have exposed beams and exposed ductwork? So I thought, I can make this work. We primed and painted the cinder block walls. We put new flooring in over the concrete. We decided to get the luxury plank vinyl. It should be called luxury blank. That would be awesome. But anyway, we got that. I put in a desk I got free on Craigslist, which I couldn't believe because it was exactly the desk I had been eyeing up. It was an L shape for the corner. It had a hutch on one side and tons of storage space, and some wonderful lady about 45 minutes away was downsizing and just wanted it out of there. And so we went and picked it up, and my desk was free. I bought a futon with a coupon and some cash back rewards online, and it ended up costing me about $80 brand new. And an ottoman in front of the futon, a little leather storage ottoman so I could store my weights in there, because I also have my treadmill in my office, which, to be honest, I hardly ever use, but it's there encouraging me to use. I'd rather just get outside. I'm an outside person. Even when it's cold, I'd rather get outside and have sun on my face and smell the fresh air. So I'm not much of a treadmill fan, but it is there for dire circumstances. And sometimes we get those in the area we live in. But the artwork for the walls was extremely reasonable. I think we completely redid that entire room for a couple $100, everything out the door, because we were willing to, negotiate or wait and look for a deal and not just need something right away. It took a while to find what I was looking for. And it took a while for us to wait for coupons and find good deals and match the cash back, but it was totally worth it. I mean, if you completely make an unusable room, or it was usable, but let's say a workroom off of your garage into a very comfortable, climate-controlled, enjoyable office, you've just added thousands and thousands of dollars to your home value by doing that. and we spent a couple $100. So it was definitely worth it. It was definitely worth the investment. Just think about, where you can find these things. Think about ways you can wait. Learning how to wait and put off instant gratification is really, really good for you. When you learn how to do it financially, you'll learn how to do it in other ways in your life too, and it just makes things better overall. If you can resist the urge to get something done right away and learn how to do it yourself and learn how to get it at a deal and end up making money on it, won't you be better off? I'm pretty sure you would be. So go ahead and, again, listen to that episode 3. Oh, okay. I almost forgot to tell you guys this. I don't think I did earlier. Well, I'm going to say it again because I can't remember if I said how much our kitchen was that we completely replaced by going to a Kraftmaid Outlet in Ohio in our previous home. It was less than $1,500. So we completely replaced every single cabinet. We repainted, we put up molding, we redid the sink. So we had a new sink and new countertops that my husband cut. We installed everything, and it was less than $1,500 after visiting a Kraftmaid Outlet in Ohio. So I definitely want to tell you that because most people know that a kitchen upgrade is going to be at the very minimum for very, very bad quality appliances and furnishings and cabinets and all of that. It's going to be $10,000. And I mean, that's like bare bones. But it usually adds about $20,000 in value to your home, if not more. And I'm talking about like a standard, regular, not super fancy, single family home. And I'm talking on the low end on average. But we spent less than $1,500. And we didn't own that home, but we felt at the time it was worth it to us. And we were spending so little in rent. And we knew the owners of the home that we didn't mind spending that money into a rental property. And anytime we've rented in the past, we don't mind spending our own money and not expecting the landlord to pay it back because that's our living area. And we've always found really good deals when we've rented places that we were okay with that. When we thought about, okay, $1,500 spread out over 6 years, that's 72 months. That's $21 a month. And I'm rounding up. So we spent $21 a month more living there over 6 years to completely upgrade the cabinets. Now, we didn't do it right away. We did it towards the end, but it was still worth it. And we knew the people who were there. And so to us, that was just, the right thing to do. But I hope this episode gave you some awesome ideas. I hope you guys liked it. If you've ever had any experiences with this, if you've done things yourself or, decided to buy something used and redo a room, let me know in the comments, please. I love hearing about how people have completely done a room for free or ended up profiting because of it and then reselling things later on, and they've used it in the process. So let me know in the comments of the show notes. That would be at makingitpaytostay.com/8. And please subscribe to the podcast and rate us and review us on iTunes or any of your favorite podcatcher apps. We're pretty much found everywhere you can think of. And I don't know why I'm saying we, because it's just me so far. So I can be found pretty much anywhere. But if you have anything to say or you want to ask a question or be on the show, go to makingitpaytostay.com/voicemail. And until next time, this is my side hustle. Thanks so much for listening. And don't forget to rate us, review us, and go to the show notes and leave us a comment on things you might want to hear about in the future or your thoughts on this particular episode. If you want to be on the show, then go to makingitpaytostay.com/application Or if you just want to leave us a question or comment via voicemail, then go to makingitpaytostay.com/voicemail. And please subscribe and share this with your friends and keep on listening.